Content repurposing is an extremely powerful tool for multiplying the amount of content that you have on any particular social media platform or indeed your blog. I've talked about various different platforms like LinkedIn and X, or formerly known as Twitter, but really with content repurposing, your limit is only your imagination. Content repurposing has a much wider scope. Getting into the headspace of each time creating a piece of content and thinking, where else can I use this, is a really valuable tool. Whenever I'm writing a newsletter, for example, I'm also thinking, can I turn this into an ebook? Or when I'm writing an ebook, I'm thinking, can I turn it into a podcast episode? Starting to have those discussions with yourself and your business partners is really valuable because it allows you to create a huge amount more content than you would if you're just focusing on one format at a time. To get started with this kind of expansion, it's great for you to think about it internally, but we can also use a ChatGPT prompt that I've created to help to brainstorm some ideas. Let me walk you through the prompt. So the prompt's going to be here. So we start with a role declaration. Here it is: act as a content marketing expert. The instruction is brainstorm content repurposing opportunities. And then we have some information for ChatGPT. In this case, we're saying I currently create content for, and then I list my platforms. List all the different platforms that you create content for. The more you put in here, the more different cross references ChatGPT is going to be able to give you, and it's going to be able to give you more examples where you can go from one platform to all of the other ones that you've provided. So for each platform, ask what formats of content I produce. This is going to trigger a questioning process from ChatGPT where it's going to ask us specific questions about the type of format that we create for each of the different platforms. This allows it to collect the information required to work out what kind of repurposing tactics we can follow. Using this information, make suggestions for 1, other ways to use the existing formats on all of my existing platforms from one platform to the others, and 2, ways to use the existing formats on new platforms. So this is split into 2 different instructions. One is using existing formats on my existing platforms. So if I already work on X and LinkedIn, it's going to show me how I can take LinkedIn content over to X and how I can take X content over to LinkedIn. If I was to have 3 platforms, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube, it's going to show me how I can take X content over to LinkedIn and X content over to YouTube, and how I take content to X from these other platforms as well. So the more platforms you put in, the more cross-referencing it's going to do, and the more possibilities ChatGPT will generate for you. The second part of the prompt is ways to use the existing formats on new platforms. So if I specify that I'm going to do long form X posts, for example, it's going to tell me all the different platforms I can take the long form X posts to. For example, a blog, Medium, or LinkedIn. So let's have a look at an example output. First up, the prompt is going to generate ideas using existing formats on my existing platforms. So this is internal repurposing within the existing ecosystem that I already have. So we have here from Twitter to LinkedIn and from LinkedIn to Twitter. And it's going to go through all the different format types that I've given it and show me how I would move them onto the other platform. Really helpful stuff. The second part of the prompt is going to give more creative ideas. This is going to be brainstorming outside of my current platforms, but using the existing formats that I already create. This is going to allow us to expand our reach into different social media platforms. So for example, here, if we look at number 3, this says threads from Twitter. It could be repurposed into an in-depth blog post for your own site, your blog, or Medium, or guest posting opportunities. This is something I haven't talked about, but you can write blog articles for other websites in order to get search engine optimization juice back to your website and help you to rank better. The second option here is use the thread structure as an outline for podcast episodes. Again, this is something I haven't talked about in this particular guide, but would be a really powerful way to repurpose a thread that's popular on X into a longer form podcast so people have a different way of consuming that information. The purpose of this ChatGPT prompt is to help you start to brainstorm different ways you can cross-pollinate your content. You can move content from one platform into another, different formats onto different platforms, and really start to build up a content ecosystem. Don't try and do all of these at the same time. Instead, experiment with one for weeks, see if it works, and then try a different format, and continue this experimental process to find the formats and the social platforms that work best for you.